Hi, my name is Toby Dorr, and I probably might be better known as the dog lady of Lansing Prison. In 2004, I started a prison dog program there, and in 2006, I made the brilliant decision to help one of my inmates escape from prison, which put me into prison myself. And I always say that prison was the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me because it was inside prison that I had this gift of time where I could just focus on myself. I had no deadlines, no projects, no email list, and I could just focus on myself and start to heal some of the emotional wounds I'd been dragging around forever and start to put together a vision of what I wanted to do in the world.
Thank
And
you, Toby. For everybody, that's an unusual start to our Thursday musings. I wanted Toby to introduce herself because we can get lost in that story of the dog lady who fell in love. I mean, it's a fascinating story that people should really buy your book. Which one is that? Hold up that book, please.
so this is Living with Conviction is my memoir.
Yes,
And
and that
it's
book,
really about the story of the prison journey. And
it is, and it's captivating. But if you really want Toby's view of what happened that made her vulnerable to the love that John, the prisoner, expressed for her, it's in that book. For
yes, it is.
me, there are a lot of answers, and I find that story more satisfying than the newspaper clippings.
Yes. You know,
Uh,
when I first was going to write this memoir, I thought I was going to write the story of the escape because that's what everybody wanted to hear. And my publisher is the one who said, no, everybody knows that. It's on the news. There's millions of articles out there. Let's start with the day you got arrested and let's
yeah,
go through the process you did to rebuild your life.
yes, and that is the reason. A lot of reasons why I've invited Toby here today. Every now and then, you may be like me, all of you, where you read about someone or you meet someone and they're doing something or they said something that makes you feel like, oh, I would like to know that person. And Toby doesn't know this, but I first heard about you through Sarah Cannell. So
Uh-huh.
we do have some people, I don't know if they call
Yes.
it 20 degrees of separation or 3
Yes.
degrees or whatever.
Right.
We know some of the same people.
Yeah, Sarah
And
Cannell was my book coach, her company, and they helped me get my first manuscript into a publication format.
yeah, and Sarah helped me with my book
Mm.
too. So yes, we have that in common. But it was Toby's work with prisoners that she was talking then about a workbook she was writing,
Mhm.
and so many people turn their backs on something that happened, and they don't keep it in their front view.
Mhm.
And Toby, the fact that she didn't just walk away from prison and rebuild her life, but she's taken the prisoners with her.
Yes.
So, yeah.
My first thought, actually, one of the thoughts I had when I was in prison was I was going to change my name to Sophie Martin and I was going to move somewhere where nobody knew who I was and I was going to start over with a clean slate. And that lasted about 6 seconds, that I just didn't have that in me. And
Well,
so,
Toby, you didn't even change your name when you got married. You had a perfect reason,
yeah.
right? You didn't change
Well,
it.
Toby Dorr is my new married name. Toby Young was my name when
Oh,
I,
was it Young? Okay.
so I
Because
did
I've
change
always
my last.
known you as Toby Dorr. So I thought,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
okay. Because I
yes.
thought that would have been a perfect time to get
Uh-huh.
a little bit of a
Yeah,
new.
it was. I actually, when I got out of prison, I did change my name back to my maiden name. Um, when I got divorced from my first husband, he wanted me to change it right away. But I thought, no, I'm going to drag this name through prison because it's already messed up. So I'll change it when I get out.
Mhm.
So, but everybody knows me more as Toby Dorr than Toby Young.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, there are so many reasons that I've brought Toby to this community. Of course, I hope you'll buy her books and listen to all of her podcasts. My God, she has so many podcasts. I
Mm,
was listening, reading her New Year's letter, and I went, "Oh my God, I was on one recently.
yes, you
It
were.
just
You were my
aired."
very last podcast I aired, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
So I've
Um,
done 52 episodes of Fierce Conversations with Toby, and we're starting our new season next week.
Right. So I highly recommend that one. But now there are all these others. There's one you're doing with your
With my
husband.
husband, and it's called Two Doors Down. And it's a podcast about time, but really it's our advocacy podcast. And we started the podcast to advocate for the elimination of the felony murder rule in the United States. The United States is the only country left that still has this rule that originated in 12th century England. And what it means is if you are in any way connected to a crime in which someone dies, then you can be guilty of murder too. Even if you weren't at the crime, if you just helped plan it, you could be convicted of murder. And it's just a ridiculous theory in today's world because we have ways to prove who actually did a crime. You know, in 12th century England, they didn't have any way of knowing. But today we have cameras everywhere, we have DNA, we have fingerprints. It's easy to know who committed the crime. And so it's really kind of an injustice that in the United States you can be convicted of first degree murder and sentenced to life in prison when you never killed someone. That's the practice we want to make people aware of so that it maybe gains enough momentum and Congress decides to make a change.
Mhm. What kind of work does your husband do?
My husband is he has a job because we needed him to have a job, and he's a customer service rep at U-Haul.
Mhm.
So it's not his passion, but really his passion is, working with me on the things that I do.
Well, I was going to say, from what I have gleaned about him, his passion is you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, he enables me to do all the things that I do.
Mhm. So your conviction, how does that, I mean, I know you have great entrepreneurial um, missions. And,
Mhm.
and I want to talk some more about that in case anybody in our community would like to help you as a volunteer.
Oh, that
I
would
know
be
so many of us
awesome.
read or listen to someone and we have no access. Like, how do we help with women
Mhm.
in prison? I know our friend Sarah Cannell, probably it was through you that she decided when she found out, like we all did when we read your book, that there weren't always books in
Yes.
prison for women. And so she was organizing a book drive. But
Yes.
just an example that people could, this is an idea I have that maybe people could, through you, be of service to women in prison.
Oh, yes. And there's such a need. There really is a need. And, you know, connections with the outside world are the life-saving grace to someone in prison because there's just nothing in there. It's just kind of like living in a void. But I created my workbooks, actually, these first three workbooks. The first one was this Butterflies Unleashed. And
Oh,
it's a 12-week program, and it's intended for women in prison or women going through something traumatic in their life. And it's a workbook to help them discover who they are and to heal the broken parts of themselves. Then I followed it with a second workbook called Be Unleashed, which is all about building and being a part of a healthy community because, we're only as good as the company we keep. And you need to surround yourself with people who lift you up and not bring you down. And then the third book in this series is Dragonflies Unleashed, which is kind of helping women who want to go out and do something with the things that they've learned about themselves and how to put it into action. There's also 6 more
But
workbooks.
wait, stay right there. There are so many people in this community who have been in spiritual studies, self-help, and maybe they're older, or maybe they have reasons that they're not in the active workforce, and
Mhm.
they might want to do something with all that they've been given. I
Yeah.
know after my daughter Melissa died, it's been my greatest gift to see her death as my purpose
Mhm.
for, for sharing her ideals, which are also mine, the missions that we share, like imagined unworthiness, that nobody is truly unworthy. It's just a feeling, and
Mhm.
guilt and shame, which you explore in prison. But I'm wondering if this last workbook, does it open up ideas for what to do with what you've learned?
It kind of is geared around helping people discover what their passion is so that
Okay.
they know what they
Hold
want to.
it up again, would you again, would
This is
you?
Dragonflies Unleashed.
And how do people get that? Is
All
it
on
available
Amazon.
on Amazon?
All
Hmm,
these workbooks are on Amazon, yes.
wonderful.
And I'm creating 6 more workbooks in the coming year. 3 of them are going to be a leadership development series, and the other 3 are going to be a spiritual development series. So this one's a
I
foundation.
won't even ask you where you get your energy from. Like, you're
I,
amazing.
I love working. I mean, I just love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
When I had COVID recently and I couldn't do anything, I couldn't even remember. It truly scared me. I couldn't
Mm.
even remember why I did anything.
Uh,
And that was like when your why is gone, and
yes.
like I thought it was never coming back. So for anybody who has had, through illness or a life shock, that feeling that you're never going to get back passion, purpose, or possibility,
Mhm.
hang in there.
I mean, and
Hang
that's
in
so important. I think we pay thousands of dollars and spend so much of our life searching for our why. And we want to go to somebody and have them tell us what our why is, when really our why is inside of us. We just need to free it because
Yes.
it's already there.
Yes. And it came back just as fast as it left me,
Yes, that's
and
good.
that's when I knew I would be well
That's
again.
excellent. That's excellent. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I have 2 new books coming out in 2025, maybe 3 more. I don't know. I started working on another one, but the first one is, I'm calling it Caged Echoes, a diary of an arrest. And it's really kind of a more creative type of a book. It's not, just writings, but this is kind of about what I went through in my head all the time I was arrested. And it
Mhm.
tallies the days I spent behind bars.
By the way, Toby would not be going through all these books and promoting them had I not asked her, please bring your books
That's
on.
right.
And I
Breeze have
want
them
you,
here. So it's like, okay, here I've got them. Yeah.
okay. And I just want everyone to see the scope and the breadth of what's available, and this beautiful woman's energy. But now I want to take a little bit of a deep dive into one word, and that one word is acceptance.
Mhm.
And that you are, to me, the prototype of acceptance because of the way you dealt with prison.
Mhm.
And acceptance, I have found, it is the last supposed stage of the 5 stages of grief.
Mm.
Yet it is the hardest word to use with people who are not in acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
because it is understood as agreement. Like, I agree I should be in prison. I agree my person should have died. I agree that this is okay. Acceptance doesn't mean that. It
Right.
means you're not fighting what
Yes.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
Does that resonate with
It
you?
resonates with me. And actually, to me, acceptance is almost like embracing. And if you have
Yes,
someone you love who died and it's so painful that you can never talk about it, isn't that a waste? I would rather embrace the person I loved and share everything good about them and the things I even learned through their dying, because
yes.
dying is so traumatic and it's the end. And I think we struggle with that the most. I think we fear that the most. And over the last few years, I've come to think that dying is one of the most beautiful things in life.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I would desire to do a TEDx talk. I have the proposal out there, and the title is Dead Wrong About Death.
Oh, I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. I love
And
that title.
yeah, but when you say embrace, you're not just saying embrace the person, you're embracing the death.
Yes.
You're embracing all of it. And I know you have yet something coming out on grief,
Mm-hmm.
but when you went to prison, here it's a while ago since I read the book, but here's the way I remember it. And tell me if there were parts left out. Yes, you didn't think you were going to get such a long sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't expecting it. And you get there and it's more in a way shocking than you had imagined. It was very bare,
Yes.
very you didn't of course know anyone, and there are no books, and it's very sparse, as
Mm-hmm.
we can imagine the worst of these places. And maybe it wasn't the worst, maybe there are worse, but it wasn't upscale prison.
Mm-hmm.
And
No.
yet I did not hear you spend hardly any time going, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Why did this happen? What a mean judge. Did I have the right lawyer? What could I have done? All of these things would be fighting what happened. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what could I have done differently? Why did I get involved with John? What, like, why, what, all of that. I mean, yes, of course you did the deep dive work about John because that was a current relationship, but it wasn't like, why did I do it? You knew why you did it, and it was an almost fated thing. When I read it, it was to have happened.
I have felt that way all along. I really have because, I kept asking during the whole planning, should I be doing this? And then I'd say, well, I'd kind of give it a condition. Like if this happens, then I know it's meant to be. And then that thing will happen. And I, but at the same time, I don't want to use that as an excuse because
No,
I
no, it's not an excuse,
did.
but it
Mhm.
does help with the acceptance if
Mhm.
we don't feel like we are the ultimate chooser of everything. I know a lot of this manifesting and a law of attraction and abundance, it can be very egotistical, as though
Yes.
we are in charge of life and death and
Mhm.
we can control everything. Mm, yeah, just get COVID, just have your
Yeah.
loved one
Yeah.
die, just get something, and then
Mhm.
become more surrendered that we will end up in prison like you did from choices. It's
Mhm.
not that we get away with no responsibility, but there are forces, aren't there, that
Yes.
are bigger
Yes.
than us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel I feel destined for the life I've experienced.
Yes.
I feel very blessed for it.
But what if everybody is? What if we all embrace that? Now we're coming back to acceptance and embrace. What if we all embrace the life that we have? No
Mhm.
woulda, shoulda, couldas that are just self-blame and imagined unworthiness and perceived mistakes. We just hurt ourselves with that junk. It
Yes.
happened. Now we're back to the prison. You start out, it seems, Toby, it seemed like you start out with one foot in front of the other. What's
Mhm.
happening now is, and you seem to take advantage of every opportunity to lead. It's not like you are looking to lead, but there
Mhm.
were vacuums of places where someone who's educated can see, oh my God, books would
Yeah.
make a difference.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me ask for books,
Mhm.
or let's all talk about this and that and join forces. Some of the people have never in prison experienced someone like you
Mhm.
that was in their community together, like works
Yes.
together. So
Mhm.
did I miss something? Did you leave something out where you didn't get so quickly into one foot in front of the other?
Um, no, there was really maybe a week or two where I just kind of wallowed in my misery. And then,
That's not very long.
yeah, no, it's not, but it felt like an eternity to me. And I just decided, I own my own perspective. I cannot change my circumstances, but I can change the way I view them.
Oh, everybody, take a
Hmm.
moment with that.
Yeah.
I cannot change my circumstances, but I own my perspective.
Yes.
Oh my God, everybody. We have heard that from every brilliant leader, and yet, do we own it?
Hmm. the
Wow.
the first thing I thought of when I decided I was going to own my own perspective was that there are movie stars and super rich people who spend thousands, if not millions of dollars to take themselves to some Spartan spa and just get away from the world. And that's where I was. I was in a Spartan spa that I didn't have to pay for. So
Wow.
I was just going to pretend like I was a big celebrity who was taking a time to get away from the world and find myself.
Oh, Toby, you are amazing me even more. I'm falling even more in love with you if that's possible.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. And that was the way it was for everything. And when my lawyer came to me and said, you're going to have to do 21 months, and I was just stunned because on paper, I should have gotten probation. They put your crime and your history and all this stuff in this grid, and where you come in the box is what your sentence should be. And mine was probation. But, the prosecutor told my attorney, this case is so in the news. If I give her probation, the media will kill me. So I've got to get a prison sentence.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, I've been in jail for 5 months. So what? You want me to do 2 more months? And he's like, no, 21 months. It's like 21 months. There's no way. And then it was like, well, I guess I could. So, okay, let's do it. And, and then I got my 21-month state sentence and I got settled into the state prison and I was kind of fitting in and getting the flow of it. And then it came on the news that was federally indicted. And so now they had to come and get me and take me out of the state system where I kind of got established and take me to the federal system and take me through another court process in, the federal courts. And I ended up getting a 27-month federal sentence, but they made it run concurrent with my state sentence. So I just had to do 27 months total. And I thought, 6 more months. I was set for 21 months. I had my mind wrapped around it, and now I've got to do 6 more months. And then I thought, well, There must be a reason I needed that extra 6 months. And when I look back on it now, if I had gotten out of prison at 21 months, I wasn't ready. I
Oh,
wasn't ready to face the world yet. But it,
had you had your suicidal moment yet?
yes, yeah, no, that was right about that time.
Okay.
Right after, it was after the 21 months, I had the suicidal episode. So
Man.
I wasn't ready. And I needed the extra 6 months. And the extra 6 months was probably the best part of my whole prison sentence where I really grew the most.
And yet, if I remember correctly, you'd made such profound friendships
I
in
did.
in that first prison. So when you said you were established, you weren't kidding. You had a network of friends. And for people who haven't read any of the of Toby's books, well, her memoir, really, particularly, this was a time when it's not a secret that your sisters had not embraced you. Your mother and father always supported you.
My
But
mother and father always did, and my brothers were good. But my sisters, and still to this day, we still really haven't rebuilt our relationship.
and everybody has someone in their life or someones who are not treating them or accepting them the way they would like. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes it's even a best friend who's disappointed you in a big way.
Mhm.
It happens. Uh, and we all have the opportunity to stay focused on the person or persons we want to get the support from or be seen by or see what is available. And for Toby, it was these people in prison, these women
Mhm.
who on paper would look like they had nothing to offer you, no education and no similar background. They became, for me, as a reader, like your sisters.
They
You
were.
you
They were
you stood
definitely.
up for each other, you loved on each other.
Mhm.
And so, where can we all embrace this in our lives? In this place, I know even for me, someone has dearly disappointed me. And what is disappointment is my expectations. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not promised that this person is going to be how she was 20 years ago. She's not the same person and not capable of giving what she gave or whatever the reasons are. But it's our expectations. Oh, it should be my sisters. No, it was these other women.
Mhm. Yes.
But
Yeah.
you could see it.
Mhm.
You had your eyes open to what is available. What a teaching is that, everyone? I hope you'll write to me and tell me which parts of this conversation
Mm.
affected you, because Toby affects me so deeply in every way.
Thank you. And I think I've come to learn, and this was the hardest lesson of all, probably, that forgiveness is not about the person being forgiven. It is about the person who's doing the forgiving. Because when you carry around resentment and bad feelings towards someone, it just weighs you down. So you free yourself by letting go.
And I'm glad you used that word forgiveness, because when we're judging someone, like I could be judging this person who's disappointed me,
Mhm.
at that point, all of the people in this community have studied forgiveness, and we all know that it's the poison you're drinking yourself
Yes.
that's poisoning you. The other person is
Mhm.
not even feeling it.
Right.
And yet, do we notice that it's unforgiveness? See, what am I forgiving the person who disappointed me, or am I forgiving myself for expecting her to be different?
That's an interesting question. I actually haven't thought of that. Um, I don't know. That's interesting. I have come to the point where, I love my sisters dearly, and I have such fond memories of all of them. And my love for them and my opinions of them will never diminish.
Yes,
And
that's
they
right.
can just do their own things. And if they get to a point where they want to include me in their lives, then great. And if they don't, then great. I'll keep going. So,
Everybody, please take a moment and take that in. That is so true. This is not just talk. Can you feel that from Toby? She totally loves her sisters. Nothing has changed. And by the way, if you can do that in this situation, what about the love that we carry with someone who's died?
mhm,
When we confuse attachment to love or with love and we make it all love, yes, we no longer have that love if what you mean is you can't have Christmas with them anymore the same way. The love actually doesn't change. I know, I don't even have to ask you. I know your relationship with your mother is just as loving
oh,
as it was
yes,
when she
it
was here,
is. I just
right? I
always
know you. I
say
know
yes.
that's true.
Mhm,
Same with me and Melissa, but I have distinguished it from, can we meet and talk about inspiration or anything? No, we can't do that.
mhm.
That's attachment. That's expectation. That's desire. But that's not, in my book, love. And it
Right.
really helped me to make those two separate things, because
Mhm,
it's easier to grieve or be sorry you can't have the thing you used to have. None of us can have being 20 again. Get over it. Like,
mhm,
yeah, I'm not going to have that with Melissa again, but I can still love her 100% the way
mhm.
I did when she was here.
Yes, that's so true. That is so true. And, I had a daughter who died as a baby. She only lived 18 hours and 31 minutes. And I was blessed to have those 18 hours and 31 minutes. And I have a son who died of cancer 17 days before his 25th birthday. And so I've come to look at it as whatever Greg's purpose was, he accomplished it in 17 days short of his 25 years. And I'm still here. I'm 67 and I still haven't got it done. So, kudos to him, really. It's not a tragedy thing. It's more like he finished whatever it was he came here to do, he finished it. And good for him. He's somewhere better. So,
I hope our community notices it's not, we don't have to pick up Toby's exact perspective. That's her perspective, that he got it done. But notice how complete she is. And that's because she doesn't go, why did he die at that age? What
mhm,
could I have done? What
mhm,
if I hadn't gone to prison? What if her husband, her former husband, like, do you see how those stages of anger and depression and bargaining keep us from that sense of acceptance that we started out with, embracing whatever thoughts you can have to take you to this possibility that you notice in Toby, that she 100% accepts what is. And
mhm,
that's why such incredible doors open emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and also energetically in this world, to make all those workbooks and have all these plans. And you haven't heard the half of it. I'm like this when I hear more. It's like, no, you need help. And if anybody is wanting to be a volunteer or explore some of that, do you have some ideas, Toby, or should we just have people connect with
They
you?
can just email me. It's so easy. It's just Toby at tobydor.com.
All
And
right.
let me know what you are interested in doing, because I have like an endless list of projects I'm working on. So,
And we have such talented people in this community, and the possibility of working from home,
mhm.
or working more this week and less next week,
Yes,
that's all possible to fit this into your life if it calls to you.
yes,
But I thought it would be a great thing to give Toby some help and add to our community's purpose.
yeah,
If it calls to you, I know it has just we're having work to do that is meaningful to me has changed my life and
yes,
so enriched it. I know it has yours as well.
yes, it definitely has.
So do you have any last um, thoughts or inspiration for our community?
Well, in 2025, I'm really going to focus on stillness because I think there's so much to learn in the quiet. And when we're busy and going, there isn't time for us to just feel that moment. So, I'm really going to intentionally make space for stillness and just see what comes.
I love that stillness and see what comes.
Hmm.
Again, the openness. I recommend if you have that urge to be close to Toby, to help her out, help yourself, just be around her because she's magic.
Well, thank you so much.
And we'll continue our relationship, Toby. We'll
Yes,
find
we
our
will.
ways.
We certainly will. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Mwah.